me slipping. Hey, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Coming to you straight from the most comfortable place in the world. This same chair I sit in twice a week and fought and keep warm. This is your Christmas special. Merry Christmas, you filthy, dirty animals. It is I, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and 44-year-old professional wrestler, Zach Primetime Reeb. Wow. And I'm joined alongside, as always, my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora.
What's up, man?
You
How,
know,
how, how are you doing, bud?
you
Oh,
know.
man. We just got done watching some girls high school basketball, and it was a great game for approximately 3 quarters, and then it just started getting out of hand. So
In the Christmas spirit, it started to snowball, right? We had
it
dreaming
indeed
of
is.
dreaming of a white Christmas in the fourth quarter.
That's it, man. Yeah, they got a little out of hand. We got handed our first loss of the season, so now they are 9-1. So
9-1. We got to lose, man.
that's right,
Everybody's
man.
everybody's got to lose.
That's right, man. That's the only way you're going to get better is when you face some adversity, and it's always that opportunity to get better, man. We always talk about that in pro wrestling, but it's one of those situations where you got to test yourself against somebody who's better and see where the holes in your game are. It's like, what do we struggle with? What can we do better? I feel like it is a parallel universe. The things that we can do better on the basketball court to eliminate some issues that we ran into today. We can do the same in pro wrestling. You get in there, you tangle it up with somebody who's got more experience than you. It's going to hopefully teach you a lesson. And I know I've definitely been in that situation where you wrestle somebody who's a little more senior than you, maybe a name, someone that's been around, and sometimes you shit the bed, man, and it's a learning experience. And I had one of those in Oregon long time ago. Somebody was like, "Oh, I hooked you up and got you booked against a name," and it was not a good experience for me. It was, getting lost at one point, and then instead of I don't know, things that I would do to try to get somebody back on track, settle down, grab a hold, things like that did not happen. A lot of the things that we talk about that you don't want to do, right? Things are going to shit. You don't just shoot someone off the ropes and speed things up, right? So
I never had a bad experience wrestling someone that was been doing it longer. You know what I mean? Like an experienced wrestler was always a good experience for me. That seemed to be the way it was. I went on a trip yesterday. Me and All Pro Reno went on a trip yesterday with a friend. We went to Portola to meet some people and hang out. Ate some pizza, about a 5-pound shit, 2 different colors on that turd. If I had the turds, but if I had the ability on here right now, I would put that picture up and say, this is what we're talking about when we say 100 pounds of carrying around 100 pounds of shit in a 50-pound bag. You know what I mean? That's what the bottom of the toilet looked like. But what was great about that was no reception. And you don't realize when you don't have that, and you start looking around and you start having conversations and people aren't buried in their phones, you realize, man, that social media is pathetic. It's toxic, brother. I really realize that. I've been looking around at social media lately, and just everybody posts everything, man. We don't need, I've said it on here before, I'm just going to get this out of the way. We don't need to know every waking second of your life. We don't need to see it. And we see it so often. And it's like, I know so many people that post and post and post on social media that I know personally, and you see them in their real life, and their real life is nothing like what they're posting on social media. It's a fucking wreck. It's a disaster. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just insane and crazy what people use this for. This is a platform for people to talk shit and complain on. Negativity is just oozing all over this thing, even if it's positive. To know what people are really going through in life and then to see what they're posting, it's like it's almost scary to think that this is the perception. Social media reminds me of what our wrestling characters are, right? Like Big Paul Isadora, his wrestling character is not Big Paul Isadora when he's at home with the four girls and the wife. You know what I mean? Zach Reeb's wrestling character out there is not what Zach Reeb is doing. I would tell you what Zach Reeb is doing, but if you don't know who Zach Reeb is and what I'm doing, then you don't need to know. All you need to know, if you don't know now, you know, and all you need to know is that I'm out there and I'm working, brother. I'm working, whether it's working on my recovery or whether it's working on the promotion, the training, just setting stuff up. And during that off time, I'll tell you everybody what I'm doing. I am relaxing and doing absolutely nothing and loving every single second of it. So I just wanted to get that out there, man. I had a great trip, and it was so nice to not have this device, but no way to use this device for any updated information or what was going on in the world, because it connected me back to a time where, hey man, I got to talk to the person that's next to me. We can laugh. We can actually be real for a second, because I don't feel that what goes on is real in our pathetic little podcast that only gets 57 views, if that. And it's like, I
Per
don't think
month.
per month. I don't think people understand what we're trying to do here, and that's okay. We are creating content, but we are working on creating content to help other professional wrestlers and local talent that are coming up in the game get better. And, I look at this and I say, I see so many people, whether they're filming matches at shows and putting them online, whether they got more subscribers or what they're doing. I think if somebody who's a fan, or I think if somebody who is not giving divulging information for someone to get better, I think if they have more subscribers and views for now, because we work hard here for now, I think if more young wrestlers in this area are watching that stuff that's being put out there, and they're not watching content that's coming from us or content that's coming from Big Ugly or Jim Cornette or something like that. I feel like, and I'm not comparing Cornette to what we're doing. We're not even on that level, but I feel like if more people locally are watching something else that has nothing to do with getting this valuable information than us, then what does that say about the professional wrestling product for the future for some of these guys? And that is what I have to say right now on this Christmas special. Jingle, jingle, jingle.
Right. Well, it is, obviously getting back to the lack of cell phone reception and the ability to not having the ability to use it. I mean, we talked about that in podcast. I feel like right close to the beginning of when we started this, about how those car rides, man, they used to be, you're just, the old school guys will say, we're booking, we're booking the territory, right? And that's how it used to be, man. We used to ride in the car and we used to just talk about pro wrestling, man. What would you do in this situation? How can you make this better? how would you book this storyline? What kind of things could you get out of the storyline? Where could you go? All these different things. We used to share so many ideas, and it's you had mentioned that it got to that point where it's like you got people that are just on the phone in the back of the car, and they're just they're listening to music, they're listening to something, they're scrolling on different social media platforms and things like that. It's like, hey guys, we're talking about what we're going to do right now. Like we're driving to a wrestling show where we're going to try to put on a good match, and this is our opportunity to kind of talk shop, right? We're all together, we're all like-minded, we're all doing the same thing, we're all doing pro wrestling, and this is our opportunity to share ideas and get better and things like that. And it's wasted so much of the time with people doing other things, right? Not being involved in that conversation. So having to be forced to not be able to use your phone for a period of time, I think is refreshing, and you get the ability to just have a conversation with someone and talk shop. I talked about trips with Adam all the time, that a lot of times it wasn't even about wrestling. It was about raising our families and getting married and just life in general, and how many great conversations we had when it was just the two of us, just traveling up and down, whether it was most of the time it was him wrestling, and I wanted to go watch, right? He was wrestling a name or somebody, or a bigger deal, right? Somewhere I wasn't booked, so I'm going to go down and enjoy the time and try to get better. Just try to learn by listening to what he's talking about and the things that he's doing in the ring, and asking questions after the fact. Like, why would you do this versus this? And a lot of times giving critiques as well, right? Like, hey, if you're gonna miss that super kick, let's at least throw it at the guy's chin, not have him catch it at the waist level, or things like that. So, but yeah, man, it's I feel like it's a forgotten time where you get in the car and you just have conversations. I felt so blessed as my kids were growing up. We would always call it the numbers game. Like, hey, we're going to play the numbers game. And it was their way to kind of learn the numbers. We're reading them off the speed limit signs. So, as our way to, we're not going to be watching a DVD in the car. We're not going to be on the phone, doing whatever. We're not going to be, getting entertained by that stuff. We're going to be in the car having conversations, trying to better ourselves as we move along. So it's one of those things where you're forced to do it and you don't realize how much you missed it or how valuable it is sometimes.
Well, execution. We talk about execution all the time. And a lot of these guys think that jumping in that ring and being in that ring, choreographing this match for hours before the show is gonna make the execution of what they're doing better. No, what's gonna make the execution of what you're doing better is actually training, working on stuff that you're not good at. And that's one thing I've really been doing it, training lately, and letting the guys know, if you do something well, I'm not going to put that into anything. I'm not going to implement that into anything you're doing today, because you already know how to do it well. We've said it countless times. We heard Adam say it at the Hall of Fame. He says, I like real criticism because I already know what I did well. I heard them out there. I don't need you to tell me what I did well. I need you to tell me what I need to do better and how I can make it better. But these car rides, getting disconnected from the world, man. That's what we're doing. We're getting disconnected from the world with these cell phones. It's the greatest thing ever invented, and it's the worst thing that ever was invented, which is crazy. I say it all the time that it can be number one on both ends. But that car ride, these phone calls, actual phone calls, this texting, this isn't. Execution is not from texting. Texting is supposed to be brief. It's supposed to be short. So anytime someone sends me a mile-long text, I immediately call them. And a lot of times their response is, "You couldn't have read that already." And I said, "I didn't read it at all." Because once you pass this much on my once I have to scroll to see what else you've written, I'm no longer interested in reading that. So I'm going to call you because I want you to know you wasted your time by writing all that and checking the grammar and the spelling and everything else. I'm not going to waste my time reading your shit when you can just do this. If you have time to do this on your phone, then you have time to mash that fucking button and give me a call and we can have an actual conversation about it. Because if I say something to you and you respond back to me, I don't care if you put a quotation mark or any, I don't know if you're mad, if you're angry, if you're excited. I don't have a clue. But you know when I do have a clue? When we're here on the video or we're here listening to each other, or if you have that opportunity right there in person, because that's where execution starts. If I'm explaining something to you and I'm explaining it weeks in advance or whatever, we need to have the execution of this down, and the execution comes from conversation. If you don't understand something and we're going out here to put on a performance, let's figure out what you don't understand about it. And if it's a physical thing in the ring, maybe you're not ready to be in the ring. You know what I mean? If I can't tell you where to be or just point to where you need to be at a certain time and you can't figure that out live in the entertainment aspect of what we're doing, sports entertainment, then you might not be ready for that level of execution on the show, because everybody wants to be a part of something bigger until they get in the ring and realize, oh shit, that old guy that doesn't do the dive outs or the tombstone pile drivers on the apron, that guy actually went out there and executed everything to the crowd and the cameras and where we needed to be and elicited the emotion from the audience. So it's conversation is everything, man. It's everything in relationships. It's everything at your job. It's everything, man. If you're going to get, if customer service is dog shit now, because everything is go to the kiosk, talk to the computer, put the order in. That order doesn't tell me no pickles. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where the option of no pickles is at McDonald's on the kiosk. I'm sorry. So taking it back to what I was saying about that, it's like we can't execute if we don't conversate, man. And there's so much just senseless conversation going on, so much dick grabbing and dumb joking, not enough people watching the monitor. And I saw someone the other day say, these guys are professionals, right? Why would they stick around and watch the show? It's like, no, then they're not a professional. If they're not interested in watching everybody else on the card, especially at the big level where they're getting paid, right? Like this is paying your, not only paying your bills and feeding your family, it's everything. Why wouldn't you want to be the best at your job? And that's what's going on nowadays. People are uninterested when they're in the element of being present in the element.
Very true. Yeah, definitely. And we've talked about that before as well. It's like, you are so consumed with putting together your match and choreographing all your spots that you're not gonna, watch the show through the curtain or the monitor backstage. Like you hear so infrequently that there is a monitor, a sellout at the monitor, right? Every once in a while you'll be like, oh, there's a bunch of people sitting around the monitor watching this match. But we've talked before about how you can learn so much from all types of different wrestling, especially bad wrestling, right? Things that don't go right. And we started this off about talking about losing a basketball game, right? And And I feel like those are the lessons that you learn the most from is you go out there and you fail, right? You didn't do what you're supposed to be doing. You didn't get the reaction that you were looking for. You didn't tell the story that you wanted to tell. People didn't understand what was going on. There was gaps in there and things like that. So that's I feel like that is so important. Especially if it's people gathered behind that. I remember at the Young Lions Cup, that was one of the best things, was just sitting at the monitor with people around, and you could just be talking out loud, like, oh, you see what happened right there? They could have done that better, or hey, I really like that, and this is why. So getting the opportunity to sit and just trade ideas with other people, you get a better feel for where their mind is on the business, right? You get a good feel for how someone would put a match together, what they think works, what they think doesn't work, why they think things work and why they don't work. So the opportunity to trade ideas like that, obviously, that is very much about being in the moment and having those conversations and things like that. Like, it was just really cool in that experience to be able to say, hey, you watch the next match, because I'm going to go talk to these guys about the match that we just watched, since it's fresh in my mind. And here's some things I would, suggest. And, obviously in that situation, it was a tournament where you're going to potentially wrestle the next person. And hey, these are the things I think you should try to fix for the next match. So definitely that conversation, and we talk about that in all aspects of life, how important conversation is and communication about different issues. You think about that in relationships, and I've forever told my girls about the difficulties of having a relationship, whether it's with your friend or your teacher or worker or whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, just your friend, right? Somebody that you work with. All those things, man, that communication is so key to really getting the point across and understanding where people are coming from. So definitely something that we sometimes overlook, and I think it's about the way that the way that technology has progressed, right? You don't have a lot of face-to-face conversations. You have a lot of text message conversations, or saw something on social media, right? And your mind goes crazy, right? You get to use your imagination and go, oh, they're probably saying this because, and you fill in the blanks with what you think might have happened, instead of having that conversation where someone can explain something exactly the way that it went down. So I think that's super important that we have those conversations and that communication, for sure.
Well, you got to look at it like this. If you ask me to watch your match, if you ask me to, are you watching any other matches? You're asking me to do something. You're asking me to, I'm going to watch regardless. Unless I'm performing on a show, I might not catch all of your match before my match, and I might not catch the match following my match. I'm going to catch some of it. I'm not going to catch it all. But you're in this era where there are guys. You're going to watch the whole show. I'm going to watch the whole show. Ugly's going to watch the whole show. I've been blessed for 3 shows now at the Ugly Dojo, 2 matinee shows in a row, ain't missed one, and the Jackrabbit show. I got to watch the entire show with Oliver John, with my coach, and he's watching the whole show. So the guys, the promoters, the old heads, they're watching the entire show. So even if you're not asking us to watch your match, we're watching your match. And it just blows my mind that they're not watching the rest of the show, or they're taking a glimpse here and there at what's going on, because we're entering a world, and I don't know if anybody realized this. I said it before, the last John Cena match, the coldest line of them all came out of Michael Cole's mouth. He said, on this night, professional wrestling has just destroyed sports entertainment. And that's not something that was just shot from Triple H or Bruce Pritchard or whatever into his headphones on the spot. That's not a line that he just came up with like a Jim Ross on his own. That's something that has been, they prepped for this moment, and that line is telling me one thing. I remember back when WWF was doing all the Mountie and Doink the Clown and Max Moon and all this stuff, and they were very kid-friendly, corny gimmicks. And then Razor and Diesel left, and they went to WCW as Hall and Nash as the outsiders, and WCW Nitro was live, right? And Raw was taped back then. But because ECW had come around and more it was getting more reality based, because this was going live and they had to counter program, Monday Night Raw did, and McMahon to match live. Then we got the Monday Night Wars. And it's reality wrestling is what we're getting here. More hardcore. It became the Attitude Era. And here we are in this era. It's sports entertainment, but we're in this era now where AEW is just saying, we have the best wrestlers in the world. We're the best wrestling. And then a line comes out of Michael Cole's mouth when Gunther beats John Cena. We're now entering an era where there is another competitor. Whether people think they're a competitor or not, they're still a competitor. You can talk all the shit about AEW you want, being less than, not as much money, but they're the competitor right now. They are the competitor to the WWE, and WWE has a massive ego, right? Massive ego as a company, and that company is going that direction of professional wrestling. It's still sports entertainment. There's still going to be promos and storylines and stuff like that, but it's going back to professional wrestling. We're going to see headlock takeovers. We're going to see arm drags. We're going to see heat and working the audience. We're going to see developing characters, and we're going to see but we're going to see more wrestling. I'm already watching the programming and everything going on. So it's times do change, man, but we always talk about it. Pro wrestling still works. If you see a good pro wrestling match, and it's done right, it's still the best. People talk about it, and they remember a good pro wrestling angle. They remember a good pro wrestling match, and that's what they'll always remember, because that is what our business is based on. That's how we make money. And these guys can talk about whatever they want to talk about or wrestle. Times are changing. Well, it might change for different promotions, and this might be hot for a little bit, but there's been TV sitcoms forever since I've been born, and before that, and movies and sequels and trilogies and limited series and documentaries, and that's because people like a story. You could not make a documentary if there was not a story there. That's why there's a fucking documentary series.
Absolutely, man. You talk about the remembering when there's a good wrestling match, right? Something that tells a good story. And I just saw it pop up again, and I've talked about it 100 times probably. There was a match between Timothy Thatcher and old school Oliver John at the Garage where they worked a headlock, right? I think it gets, I'm sure I exaggerate the amount of time that they did it, but I saw somebody say it was a 10 minute match working a headlock. I've said 12, I've said 14 minutes, but it was entertaining for the entire time because it told the story of one guy has a headlock and the other guy is trying to get out of that headlock. And I saw somebody posted it again just recently. Dozer just posted it again. Hey, this is what we're going to watch this match at training today. And we're going to break this down like chain wrestling. It's getting back. Like, I feel like these last couple conversations we've had have been getting back to the basics, right? We're going to have a clinic before the matinee show, and we're going to be going over something, right? So we're getting back to those times, and I think that there's becoming more focus on it, right? So that's happening, which has triggered you to also go, hey, what we're going to do is something I saw at this last show, right? And that's been going on for several months. You know, every time you come here, it's like, well, this is something that I saw that was shitty on this show. And so this is what we're going to work on this Sunday at training, right? We're going to put something together and we're going to combat that, whether it's bad chain wrestling, throwing punches, right? Something getting blocked, getting a punch blocked or whatever. Telling some sort of story, right? Keeping your energy up, not looking like you fell asleep during the match, things like that. So it's definitely it's becoming more prevalent, especially in the NorCal scene that we're familiar with. That we're getting back to basics, and it's exciting because we've been talking about it for 111 episodes about how we should get back to basics, how we should tell a story, how important it is, to try to hook the audience in and tell a story that they're going to come back to see what the next chapter is. So definitely an exciting time, especially in NorCal wrestling, where we're getting more of that, and we're getting to see. Hopefully, guys are really connecting with it and putting it into their matches where you go, okay, that's something that we worked on. That's important. That's the foundation of your match. Let's get back to that. Let's do what we're supposed to be doing, and let's tell these good stories. And obviously, it's always exciting to hear a match mentioned that you were there for, that you saw live, and that you enjoyed at the time. Then you watched it back and you enjoyed it again, and now it's being mentioned again. So it's a really cool thing for those things to happen, and hopefully that's the direction that we're getting back to is pro wrestling, over the sports entertainment aspect a little bit.
I've seen some great wrestling matches that didn't have great wrestling in it all the time, even if it wasn't a hardcore match or a stipulation match, whatever, a gimmicky match. I've seen the guys go in there and just kick the guy in the gut. Miz does it all the time. I've watched a lot of good Miz matches that were entertaining over the years where he just kicked him in the gut and they started. Because the point of this is we're still getting to the same place, right? We're still trying to wear our opponent down, and it still becomes back and forth and physical the whole way through. And we still get to, even if you bypass headlocks and chain wrestling and stuff, we're still going to get to the point of the match where the sympathy's on the baby face and he's trying to fight back. I mean, wrestling is real simple, man. Wrestling's real simple. I mean, you're either the baby face is either winning big or the heel's fucking the baby face. And that's it. Like, I get people are trying to reinvent the wheel, right? And do things, but that's what it is, A lot of you don't ever see a rom-com, a romantic comedy where the guy dies at the end or the girl and the couple doesn't get together. You know what I mean? I'm going to go back to a romantic comedy right now that people might question my sexuality. You know what I mean? It might be questioned right here on the show in front of 57 people. Ugh. But no. The Vow. I don't know if anybody's ever seen The Vow with Channing Tatum, right? And Rachel McAdams. And these two fall in fucking love, right? Typical romantic comedy. He farts in the car, she rolls up the window, and then they go into what is going to be some sex. And he's like, "Oh, that's so hot that you wanted to roll the window up on my fart." And then they get in a terrible car accident, and her seatbelt is off because I think she was going to blow him, right? Like she's going to give him a blowy, a little roadhead. and she flies out the window. It's a great scene, and she hits her head, and she forgets their entire relationship, how she met, why she left her rich home. And this movie, and Channing Tatum does an amazing job in this movie. But at the end, she never gets her memory back of their relationship, of how they met, how they got married, and why she left going to law school to pursue art and everything else. And it was such a good movie at the end because all she could remember was before that. So she tries to go back to that life, and her family actually fucking is like right there with her, like, oh, we got our daughter back. And there was so much reason why she left. He leaves her alone and goes back to his normal life. And the same cycle of life, why she left her family and all that stuff to come into the city and met him, it happens all over again naturally, right? And the end of the movie is they meet at the coffee shop and they just go walking off together, and the movie ends. We don't know if they renewed their vows. We don't know if they had fucking children. We don't know this stuff anymore. All I remember in this movie was, man, what a great way to end it. Maybe they're back together, but just the story that was told in this romantic comedy was different. It still looked like it ended happily ever after, but it's what we want to watch. It's what we want to see, man. You know what I mean? We want to get invested in a character that we like, that we want to. Investing in that guy is buying his wristbands, buying his armbands, buying his hat, buying his matching shirt. You know, John Cena was an investment. John Cena was a financial investment to moms and dads, grandparents across the world, stepdaddies across the world, for children. Children love this man. And so much money on merchandising and ticket sales and everything, because a parent's not going to tell their child no. Yes, John Cena's coming to town. I will buy those $800 Monday Night Raw tickets, and you will see John Cena. It became a destination to Washington, D.C., or wherever he wrestled this last year to go see. It's John Cena's last WrestleMania. It's John Cena's last Royal Rumble. No matter how you cook this shit up, Paul, you have to invest in a character in order to make some fucking money.
Absolutely. And it was crazy listening. Like I told you, I was listening to John Cena on Chris Van Vliet's podcast, and just the way that he laid this whole thing out, like, you know, that he said he was kind of had this whole thing planned like years in advance, that, you know, this year was going to be the last year. And he was talking about the merchandising and how they got the, you know, you triggered my memory when you said all the matching gear. And it's like, you know, so you had all these matching sets of gears. He called them uniforms. You had the uniform for each town, right? And it's just like they were talking about all the merchandising that had to go into it, because they had to get everything, you know, approved, you know, several months in advance. So, you know, I think he said that there was 17 extra uniforms that they made for towns that they didn't end up going to, and things like that. So, but it's just like, you think about, you know, we look at this as entertainment, but, you know, we know at the end of the day, this is the pro wrestling business. And they're in it to make a living, to make money. So this whole the merchandising thing was just crazy to me, just thinking about, you know, you've got 30 something dates or whatever, and you're like, okay, well, we're going to make a different you know, color scheme, colorway, whatever you want to call it, for each one of these towns. It's going to have something to do probably with a sporting team. So, you know, he looked at it as a uniform, and it's just like, could you just imagine you've got an armband, a hat, a shirt from all these different places, you know?
No, somebody does.
Oh yeah, I'm sure someone's probably got a collection of all those things, and they're going to lose their shit when they see the last 17 finally drop at some point. It's going to be something where you're like, okay, well, now I can get this, so I can be the best John Cena collector there is. And obviously, with all those royalties, man, you think about all the money that this guy's got, set up on the back end of his career to continue to just rolling, raking in the dough, man. It's crazy to think about that. And I don't know, it's just kind of funny because at one point I was so enamored by Jeff Cobb and how he had his merchandise, several shirts and all the different sizes, and keeping track and re-upping for the next time he was in a town, and just like the crazy organization that took. But you just think about the John Cena thing and what type of organization that takes, maybe not necessarily for him, but for the people that are selling the merchandise. And then to find out that last Saturday Night's Main Event, there wasn't like a big fan fest. It was just all John Cena stuff, autograph stuff, shirts, all these different things just related to him. And so people could come and get that stuff. And just like, what type of money was made, for that fan experience for Saturday Night's Main Event in Washington, D.C. Like it must have just been crazy money flying around everywhere.
What makes me laugh is I've heard you tell me why you started watching pro wrestling. I've said why I watch pro wrestling. A lot of these stories, especially us coming up, is Hulk Hogan. Okay. Do you remember why you watched Hulk Hogan? Because I've seen so many people tell me the Hulk Hogan story, and I don't see any fucking Hulk Hogan in them. And all Hulk Hogan was a baby face who was fighting back. A sympathetic baby face. Great character. We fell in love with him. 6'7", the Hulk, man. But he was selling. Hogan. The hair got wet. He almost looked bald. You know what I mean? Just selling. What was Ric Flair doing? He was selling. You know what I mean? Some of the greatest of all time sold and sold and sold and sold and built. Hogan built to a comeback. And the craziest thing was his comeback was the fucking Hulk up. He did it over and over and over and over again. And John Cena was the same way. John Cena, tackle. Like I was telling you about the tackle, getting up to the left, taking another tackle. It's the John Cena spot, bro. I'm just running these guys through the John Cena comeback spot because I'm going to duck. Here you are. Guess what? Oh, we're going to mix it up tonight. This guy hopped up to his feet and hit me with a rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? But why did you get into wrestling? If you can't tell when you watch a primetime match, I'm selling. I'm reaching. And then I'm coming back like Hulk Hogan without shaking my head and shit. You can tell that when I say Hulk Hogan I was influenced by Hulk Hogan. I was influenced by Hulk Hogan. I was influenced by a lot of people after that. I was influenced by Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and Owen and, Christian and those guys because they're smaller guys. I'm a smaller guy. I had to, those opportunities came up. But if you're influenced by Hulk Hogan, like we watched wrestling because we had fun. It was fun to us. Now everyone's just a fucking critic, man. I used to watch wrestling like WWE and shit and just be like, But then now I watch it and I'm just like, I got out of my fucking, and since we're in the Christmas spirit, I got out of my fucking Grinch stage of pro wrestling where it's like, I'll criticize it to help someone to make it better. But if you're having fun watching wrestling, have fucking fun. Don't analyze why John Cena did what he did or how pissed off you are. That's good you're pissed off, right? I'm glad they're pissed off. Because you know what John Cena knew? He knew that he was going to elicit emotion and memory and a moment out of what he did. So if you're sitting at home pissed off about it, hey, John, You did your fucking job. Good job. Again.
Absolutely, man. It's. I just had a conversation with a guy at work that's a wrestling fan as well, and he was just so pissed off. Oh man, I can't believe how this ended. It was the wrong guy. Just all this, just over and over and over. And then he's just like, "What'd you think?" I was like, "Well, hey man, that's the way that it works, man. You go out on your back. You know, just I don't know. It was just so funny because you have a as a worker, you have a certain mindset, and the business has worked a certain way for so long, and when it's your time, right? You're gonna go out on your back. You're going to try to help somebody else, right? You're gonna give somebody else the rub, and hopefully you're in a situation where if somebody beats you, it means something. And obviously that's what you think about, man. You think about, like, so many people. I think about the basketball analogy of kids being out in the yard, and they're doing the 3, 2, 1, you know and shooting that the buzzer beater shot, right? And it's gonna be you're gonna win the game because you hit the buzzer beater, uh, and you hope in wrestling that it happens the same way, right? You hope that you've built some sort of following where when you do have that last match, hopefully you get to do it on your own terms. They've talked about that as well. John Cena being able to do it on his own terms and going out the way that he wanted to go out and things like that. So, hopefully we're in that same space where we have a following, and the fans are looking at us like, if you beat this guy, it means something, and hopefully we have that opportunity to kind of pass the torch onto the next generation of guys that are going to in theory hopefully do exactly what we're doing, and that is try to help the next wave of guys live their dream, and potentially, if they want to make it to the big time, show them the path to get there, whether it's I don't know. I guess we look at it as very simplistic. You put your name in the system. When they come to your town, you reach out and try to get on as an extra, and the process that we've gone through for the past 20 years of getting extra work if they come to your town, right? And you see people that they make such a big deal of it, like, oh, I was an extra on WWE. It's like, well, that doesn't mean that they're looking at you, that you're getting signed, anything like that, man. They're just trying to get some inexpensive, non-contracted guys to do whatever tasks they need to have done. Whether that's getting beat up in a tag match, or showcasing one of their up and coming stars by getting squashed, or working security, or a hot dog vendor, or whatever the role may be. I feel like it's become this thing where people are like treated as such a huge deal. It's like, well, you put your paperwork in, right? You filled out your application. You're in a certain town that they can easily use you when they come to that town. Obviously, it's exciting to see someone that on TV, or when you go to a show in your hometown and you get to see a couple guys that working security, or doing whatever they're asked to do that night. But I definitely think it's funny, and obviously it always happens the same way. Somebody gets signed, and then you just see a flood of the internet of all the pictures of people that they had with that guy when he was at my promotion, and somehow trying to get a rub off of this guy that you took a picture with because he was in a promotion, the same promotion that you were in at some point, whether he was brought in as an outside talent, or if he was one of the people that was, a brand new guy, coming up through the ranks and made his mark at a specific promotion.
Built to brag, man. We're in an era where likes, comments, shares, subscribes, you know what I mean? I mean, when people tell me they, if I wanted to get more subscribers on a channel right away without like building something that's going to actually have a long lasting stay, we've been around a while now doing this. And one day someone's going to see it because we're just going to keep doing it. And we're going to go back and we're going to touch on stuff and people are finally going to see it. But if I wanted to get impact views, I'd go down here to Walmart and hit the guy ringing the bell or the homeless man. I'd hit him in the nuts with my hand or a baseball or something and run away from him, or I would knock his, I'd do something stupid because that's what gets those views. People doing something stupid. You see something getting a lot of views in wrestling, you're like, no way. He's not going to fucking pile drive that guy off of that 20-foot scaffolding through the table that's on fire through a bunch of plates of glass. He's not going to do this, is he? And he does. And we go, fuck. And we all send it to each other and go, look how stupid this is. Look how stupid that is. We see somebody go in the store and they fucking take the hose in Home Depot and act like they're losing control of it and start spraying some old guy in the face. This shit's funny. It's shock value shit that we get views. We see idiotic people going, I guess what this is my Twaino White here. And you're going to have a problem with me if you want them. And we see that video and then people mock that video. And imitation is the best, sincerest form of flattery, but we put it out there and it is what it is, man. But what's your vision? Having a video go viral, whatever, that's cool if that's your thing, If posting a bunch of pictures is your thing, that's cool, man. If instant gratification is your thing, but you got to realize in life, to have a career at something, there's going to be a lot of shit time. And if you can be comfortable, if you can be okay in that shit time, if you can be okay with not at the level of subscribers you want, or you can be okay with not having as much money in the bank account as you want, because I'm out here working silently. I'm not on here going, man, 2025 was our best year we had. Wait till you see all the surprises we got for you in 2026. I don't need to tell you that because I'm just going to go do that. And in turn, you're going to go, man, what a year these guys had. They were better than last year. Wow, they put in a lot of hard work this year. I can't wait to see what 2027 holds for these guys. So if you're telling me how great a year you had, if you're telling me how good next year is going to be, if you're telling me how hard you work, you don't need to tell me. Fucking show me. Fucking show me. I don't need to know where you ate fucking breakfast at, dude, or dudette. Either one. I don't need to know. I don't care. I don't give a flying fuck if you went to Lumberjacks, Larry. I don't care if you went to Lumberjacks and had chicken fried steak with fucking the best gravy smothered over the top of it. You want me to know how good something is? Do a fucking food review. I watch those. I watch food reviews. I watch people getting hit in the nuts. I watch dangerous pro wrestling clips. And most importantly, I watch Shia Mundi against Dads Against Predators, embarrassing and slapping child predators around. I mean, I get caught in that all day. I like that. I love watching him scream out, "Excuse me, everybody. We have a child predator in your town. He's here to have sex with a 13-year-old boy." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not." My favorite's when they come up on him from behind. They're like, "Where are you?" And he's like, I'm here. I don't see you. I'm right behind you. And the guy turns around and goes, "Oh, shit. I just got caught. I didn't write that." "Yeah, you did." I watch that stuff too. That's entertaining to me. But we're
Exactly.
getting to the, you know what I mean? But Jesus, man, like give me some depth. Let me be the judge of why I like you or not. Not you telling me why I like you. 5 minutes remain in this Christmas podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's, I mean, we've talked about this over and over and over, right? This comes back to the, you don't have to tell me how good you are, right? Someone else will tell me how good you are, right? So you don't have to say, hey, you need to use me because I'm so great, right? Use me on your show because I'm great. Watch how I draw or whatever. It's like, well, why don't you just get a huge crowd at our show, and that way you can show me exactly what you can do. Don't go, oh man, look what I'm doing with something else, right? Oh, this other thing is working great. I could do the same thing for you, right? It's it's more of the show me what you can do for me specifically, right? So I don't know, man. But a lot of times that is, and it is that instant gratification. It's, you want the pat on the back, right? You want someone to tell you that you did a good job, right? It's just, I don't know, man. It is that, and I think it's probably just the way that society is getting, right. You have people like that, unfortunately.
I
They
hate to
just
say it,
need.
man. Thanks for handing out turkeys or toys or whatever. And I'm glad people do that. But go do it. I don't need you to take 1,000 pictures or make a bunch of videos after the fact. Like people are during the process of doing it or after the fact, they're telling us how much they gave back to the community. Tell us when you're going to give back to the community beforehand so we can get the word out to the fucking community. There's more being done during the process of feeding the homeless, and there's more being done, more advertising and promotion being done after someone handed out all the hams and the turkeys than there is beforehand. You got all these pictures of you smiling with your friends or whatever, doing these volunteer great deeds or whatever you did, but all you did beforehand was maybe put up a flyer, if there was one, a graphic that says we'll be handing out turkeys on these days. Why didn't you go over to the place and make some videos or something to put up online for us to watch? Why didn't you do a video then about the giveaway, the charity work? Why didn't you make your own graphics? Why have you put more energy and time into filming you doing this? It's like at the gym. If I see you taking pictures of yourself at the gym while you're working out, or I see you filming yourself while you're working out at the gym, like, look at me, I'm at the gym. Am I supposed to believe you're really putting in hard work at the gym? Go to the gym. I don't need to see your fucking picture, to be honest with you. Take a picture at the start of the month. At the next start of the month, take another picture. Let's check out your results month to month. I don't need to see it every day. I don't need to know what you say you're eating. I'll see it in your body. You know what I mean? I love people that are like, I've been going a little heavy on dinner lately. I eat good all day, but then, the wife really gives me a little extra carbs and some processed sugars during dinner, and it ruins my whole day. Well, then don't fucking eat it. How about this? Shut the fuck up and just do the fucking work, and we'll see the results. Because we'll be like, oh my God, they had 1,000 people at this show. Why? Because you went out and did the fucking work. Okay. If your body's getting better, it's because you did the fucking work. And I'm tired of hearing people tell, oh, that guy's on steroids. Yeah, that means he's eating more and leaner, and he's working harder in the gym. This perception of if somebody takes some Deca or Winstraw or a shot of fucking testosterone replacement or HGH, like, oh, he's on steroids, that's why he's so big. No, if you take that shit and you don't fucking work out, you're going to be fitting into your wife's fucking C or D cup fucking bra.
Oh, very true. We will definitely see the results of all your hard work after you've done said hard work. You don't have to tell us about it. It will be evident.
That's
But
hard
for
work.
Zach, for Zach Primetime Reeb and the Wrecking Ball Paul Zadora, have a great Christmas. Hope you had a great Christmas. Have a good New Year. Subscribe, like, share, do all that stuff because we're going over.
Quit posting so much on social media and enjoy your life.